according to Philippe Sands, one of the original sins of the British in this great story, and there are many sins according to him, is after the 1965 UN resolution that the UK forcibly removed approximately 1,500 to 2,000 Chagosians to Mauritius and the Seychelles. And this act is why he and the British have, on numerous occasions, paid reparations to those. I'm quite curious, not only to get into how this is sort of deemed reparations now, because I think that's into why the government have come to the number of 3.4 billion, but there have been a couple of occasions before where reparations have been paid. In fact, Sands goes into this a little bit, to the Mauritians, but the Mauritians haven't passed that on to the Chagosian.
No.
What do you know about that?
So there's a few, as you say that, I can just think of so many different things that's going on here. To start with, I should say that there is a treaty that exists already that Mauritius signed back in the 1960s. So Mauritius became independent. And because we were administering the Chagos Islands from there, we had to sign another treaty to say Chagos Islands is still ours. So they signed a treaty saying Chagos Islands is still British. And then we gave them £3 million to renounce all future claims.
Did we really?
Yeah, we gave them £3 million to renounce all future claims, and that treaty is in black and white. We can't escape that, and that hasn't been talked about so far. And so coming on to your...
We wanted it, by the way, because of its military importance.
So yes, that's the next part, thank you. So during World War II, it was established that Diego Garcia, which is the biggest island in the Chagos archipelago, is a great port. If you look at it, it looks like a horse's hoof. So it makes it such a great port. And so ships started refueling there. We started storing weapons there. And then came along the Cold War. And America said, this is a great location because the Middle East is just there. This looks out to the South China Sea. We've got eyes that can go everywhere from this location. Can we build an airstrip? And of course, we said yes. And lo and behold, they started building this airstrip. However, it had civilians on it. And America never said, you need to get rid of the civilians. It was the UK who turned around and said, oh, do you want us to get rid of the civilian population for you? And they said, you don't have to, but it would be useful. So then we hired, and you'd think that the armed forces would do this or something. We hired a private security force, don't know the name or anything like that. We had a private security force to go onto the island and get people off it. And this isn't just Diego Garcia. If you look at a map, Diego Garcia is on the bottom right of the archipelago. This is a huge place, by the way. And if you look, there's about 250 islands. And at the top, you have Solomon Island and you have Perez Banos, which are the other two biggest islands. I think you've got the map in front of you.
I do, yeah.
They're very far apart. And then we said, look, we're going to get rid of everyone off all these islands. And they said, you really don't need to, but we did anyway. And this is actually a really traumatic moment in Chagosian history. It's really quite a dark moment in the British history as well.
This is not in the 40s, this is in the 60s.
This is in the 60s. And so this security force went onto the islands, dragged people out of their homes, put them on the boats. They shot their dogs, they shot any livestock, and they set fire to them. Imagine if you had a dog, you had pets, and then an hour later being burnt alive. It's absolutely traumatic. And these people just put on boats and just sent off to the nearest island in the Maldives, Seychelles, Mauritius. And when they arrived in these places, those places didn't know what to do with these people. So a lot of them went straight to the slums. A lot of them are still in slums today because of that. And they've been treated horribly. We look at Mauritius as one example. These people still live in slums. They haven't been treated like a civilian. They've been treated like they've literally just washed up, like they're illegal or anything like that.
So why were they sent so far away rather than just to another one of the islands in the Chagos archipelago?
When it's what the UK did. Most people lived on Paris Banos, and they were just emptied from it completely. And you look at pictures from that island, and you'll just see empty homes, dilapidated churches, all this stuff. All those buildings are still there. There's even like cemeteries with, their families still buried in them, and they wanted to arrange trips to go visit those cemeteries, and the FCDO have facilitated little trips out there in the past few years. But yeah, it's all still there. It's a very traumatic memory for them. And of course, you'll notice that one of the largest contingents of Chagosians in the UK is in Crawley, next to Gatwick Airport, because most of them were flown to Gatwick Airport and just dumped off the planes.
Right.
So then they just became part of Crawley, and Crawley Council had to pay out money to house them. So it was never planned. Right. It's been and even up until today, without jumping too far ahead, people are still coming in from Mauritius and just arriving at Heathrow without a plan. And suddenly the local...
Chagosians are coming from Mauritius.
Chagosians, yes. I think it's at Hillingdon Council have said, look, this is bankrupting us because these Chagosians are still arriving. And there's lots of different reasons for why they're arriving right now, but they're still arriving. They have done for decades.
And it's bankrupting them because there is an obligation to...
Yeah, because they're British citizens.
Right.
And if they're homeless, they've turned up and they're homeless.
Okay, I see. So do we have a sense of what, let's say, the Hillingdon Council have to pay these individuals when they arrive?
I'm not sure. They just have to find them homes.
Okay.
But because they've been unexpected, unplanned for, it's causing a huge load onto the council.
So perhaps then we would all agree, even with Philippe Sands, that this really was an original sin, and this sounds absolutely terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And there's perhaps there's still an injustice here that needs to be made right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what's curious, though, is that as you say that, I've actually met Chagosians, and they are pretty pro-British. So despite
Absolutely.
What happened, the big fight that is in the High Court at the moment, this as we talk, landmark case exposing how ministers sideline Chagosians from decisions over their homeland, their sovereignty. They are actually seemingly want the British to retain sovereignty there. So there is a pro-British sentiment amongst these people who have been treated very badly by the British.
Yes, and I'll tell you why. I mean, there's a few different groups of Chagosians that you have to be aware of. So the Chagosians are split into factions. So you've got like the Chagos refugee group that say Jeremy Corbyn is allied to and Philippe Sands is allied to, and then you've got Chagos Voices and you've got the Biot citizen groups. Lots of different groups, and they're all competing against each other. They all have different mindsets. Like some of them say, yes, we're happy to go back to Solomon Island and Paris Banos, but not Diego Garcia. We're happy for a military base to be there. Whether, say, Chagos Voices want the whole set of islands, and Chagos refugees just don't want any British input whatsoever. And they're mainly based in Mauritius. But the reason why Biot Citizen, for example, is so pro-British is because Mauritius treats Chagosians like second-class citizens. So they outlawed the identity of Chagosian with 10 years in prison. So if you say you are a Chagosian, Mauritius say that doesn't exist. We're putting you in prison. If you say we recognise Britain's claim to the islands, that's even worse. And up until a few days ago, I had a contact say, "Look, we've been intimidated, we've been beaten
in Mauritius."
And this is why so many are fleeing Mauritius, because they're being persecuted. They have been persecuted for decades.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Winston Marshall Show. You can click here to watch the full episode, and for more clips like this one, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, be well.